We are live, Michael. How are you today?
I am awesome, Martin. How are you doing?
It feels great to be back in my normal studio. Much better now.
The universe is back in balance.
Exactly. Everything's back to
Tell me it
normal.
doesn't feel that way, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. It definitely feels like this.
It's weird when you're not like in your normal place. The universe does feel a little bit out of balance, doesn't it?
Yep, it does. It does. And now it's much better.
Way better. Well, welcome back. Welcome home. And let's welcome all of our viewers back to AGTP Daily. You know, Martin, we go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to talk about the most important, most significant, most interesting, actually, tech stories in the United States of America. Today is Monday, the 8th of June, 2026. You know, except for the Knicks winning 2 games in the first part of the WNBA, not the W, in the NBA championship, nothing's really changed. And look at you, you're shaking your head like nobody cares about this, but they do. If we have listeners and viewers in New York, they're going insane. You have to understand, Martin. So you're laughing because PSG, blah blah blah, they win every year. They've all got all these great players. Okay, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Just give me one more second. The Knicks have not. They're one of the premier franchises in the NBA. They've not won the championship title in 53 years.
Wow. Okay. And so this is their time. This is their moment.
Well, it's a 7-game series. They're up 2-0. So
Okay.
it would be weird to lose. Anyway, welcome to everybody to the show. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. None of it has to do with the NBA. Although my guess is that if you go to one of these new stadiums, and of course Madison Square Garden's not new, but I'm sure there's a lot of AI there. I'm sure there's a lot of artificial intelligence. And if you look at what Steve Ballmer built out there for his NBA team, I'm sure there's a lot of tech there. Okay, let's talk about this. Martin, Meta.
Yep.
And this is a little bit of a follow-on, actually, to something we talked about last week. We'll get to that too. But Meta is considering selling equity to finance AI. And I want to go through some numbers later because you'll see, like, it's actually super interesting if you look at this. And then the other thing is ChatGPT dead? You're laughing, but you'll see where the context for this comes as well.
Yes.
Because they think they're going to start like a ride-hailing. Sorry, not ride-hailing. They just want to start a super app, and they want to probably combine everything together because one of their internal people said, like, chat itself is dead. So not ChatGPT. But I thought it was just a funny way to represent this. Okay. Let's get right to this. So, I like to start with some kind of summary. Meta is looking at a much more aggressive financing model for AI infrastructure. The key here is that it's not only that CapEx is rising. It's that even though this is really important, Martin, a company like Meta, and we'll get to some really interesting financial data for them in a couple of seconds, right? But even these super large cash generating tech companies may now need to like get outside capital to keep building data centers, buying accelerators, like securing power. Who was I talking to about this today? I can't remember, but we had a whole conversation about like data centers and stuff like that. And the woman from, Net Zero, whatever that woman's name was, Isabella Suarez. I contended to her. She was like, look, sometimes you can have way too much energy. I'm like, you can never have too much energy. Like never. She's like, what if you overbuild and it goes, nobody can use it? And then blah. I'm like, look, we overbuild fiber. If we overbuild energy, we'll just use it later. It's not like it goes away. And she was like, you cannot compare energy to telecommunications companies. She said, you can't do it. It's very different. Fiber can sit in the ground. You can still use it later, but energy is not the same way. Anyway, so that's one of the keys here. And they're considering a stock offering, which is weird since I don't think Meta's done a stock offering in years. And they want to try to raise tens of billions of dollars. Again, they haven't decided yet if they're going to do this. So they haven't hired any like investment banks to do this. No final decision's been made. And there are other ways, like they could borrow money if they wanted to, but for my money, I think interest rates are too high. And the stock market, when they were hinting at this, said, yeah, we don't think so. I think their stock fell 6%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but I mean, 6% in a company that's worth $1 trillion. That's real money to you and me. If somebody gave me, let me see, 6% of $1 trillion, that would be a lot of money for me. I could have lunch tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. 2 days in a row, I could have lunch. It would be great for me.
For sure.
Now, they've already filed for a bond offering of up to $30 billion.
Okay.
And somehow they have a $27 billion financing deal with Blue Owl Capital. But remember, Martin, they lifted their capex, right? So their capital spending outlook to 125 to 145 billion dollars. I always focus on the number in the middle, which is 135. And here's the point. The point is that it feels like this AI infrastructure stuff is becoming like too large to fund just out of cash flow. Because that's what these big tech companies normally have done. Like Google builds new businesses, they fund it out of cash flow. Meta, they funded all of their eyeglass stuff out of their cash flow. And we know now, because we did a whole segment on this last week, that do we really have to call this company Alphabet? Nobody calls it that. I'm just going to call it Google. Sorry. Shoot me. So Google recently raised almost $85 billion in an equity-linked financing for the same thing, for AI infrastructure.
Yep.
After raising their own capex on this stuff to $180 to $190 billion. And I think this changes the way people are going to need to think about it. You and I have been talking about this for months now.
Yep.
Right? We've been saying that like, this is not like venture investing. It's not like regular investing. This is sort of nation state style infrastructure scale investing. It's literally like building physical highways all across the country when there are no highways there.
Yep.
And this is like heavy industry style investing. Now, can I give you some really cool stats?
Tell me.
God, I just stole that from the guys at First Things First. If they listen to this, they're going to kill me. They do a whole thing called Cool Stats.
Okay.
And it was just in my head. I shouldn't have said that. But I want to give you some statistics, some financing statistics. But I do like that show, by the way. I love the way they do that. I wanted to find out what Meta's previous 3 fiscal years were for revenue growth, profit growth, and stuff like that. Okay, so and remember, what is their capex this year? $135 billion. That's what they're projecting for 2026.
Yes.
It's probably going to be higher in 2027. Their revenue in 2023, revenue was $135 billion.
135? Okay.
That was their revenue.
Okay.
The revenue growth, so from the previous year, I just want to go through all of this so people can see like just how significant this capex is, yeah? The revenue growth was 15.7%. Their net income was $39 billion. The net income growth, they made way more money, was 68% or more. And their net profit margin was 29%.
Okay.
Bear with me. I know you're impatient, but let me get through 24 and 25. I'm going to do this slowly so everybody can hear it and pay attention to it, because these numbers are really important. Their revenue in 2024 was 164, up almost 22%. Their net income was $69 billion. That's $23 billion more than it was in 2023. That's up 59.5%. Their net margins were 37.9%. Okay. In 2025, their revenue, so from between 2023 and 2025, their revenue went from $134.9 billion to $201 billion.
It's crazy. That's a huge growth.
It's insane. Well, it's 15%, 21%, and 22.2% growth. Net income, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Net income went from $39.1 billion to $62.4 billion to $60.5 billion. Why did net income go down? Something in the administration's tax bill changed.
Okay.
So their tax rate went up. It was like 1 year thing. So their net income growth was actually negative 3.1%, but their net margins were 30%. So it's not like their income collapsed.
Okay.
It's just that the tax treatment on it changed. Okay. So here's the thing. Their core business, you can see it just in the revenue numbers, is on fire.
It's on fire, yeah.
Particularly for a company its size. Like if you're making $10 million and you go to $20 million, your revenue doubles, but that's rare, right? In 1 year, but $20 million still not a lot. But to go from 134.9, let's just call it 135 to 201 in 2 years.
Especially like after you started 20 years ago, right? Like, because it's not like they are in their
not a new
first 5
company.
years
That's the point.
and they are growing quickly, right? No, it's not the case. It's like they're like a 20 years old company, right? Who is doubling his revenue on year 21, which is crazy.
Right, but the thing that makes it crazier, Martin, is that's still not enough cash.
Yeah.
To fund the investment because this is why I wanted to go through the revenue numbers, because their revenue in 2023 is the amount of capex they want to spend in 2026. So it doesn't just wipe out all their net income, it makes it negative. Because their net income was $60.5 billion. So they don't have enough free cash flow to make the investments that they want to make.
Yeah.
And that's why they have to go out and either borrow money or do an equity listing. Sorry, an equity sale, not an equity listing. They're already listed.
It's really crazy that they must really believe strongly in AI. Huh? Like it sounds a bit stupid to say that, but they are basically baiting the entire company on that. They really believe that their ad business is going to be much smaller compared to their AI business.
So let's be careful. They believe that the AI business that they build is going to accelerate growth in their ad business.
Okay.
This is what, again, based on the stuff that I've read.
Yes.
Okay, they're not saying that their ad business is going to go away. What they're essentially saying is we need to have this artificial intelligence capability if we want our ad business to continue to grow at the rate it's growing, or even just to stay static. That's, I think, is the big deal here.
I'd love to talk to Mark Zuckerberg. Like, what is his vision? Because he must see something. Like, he must have a very grand vision for the next 5 to 10 years. Exactly to what you say, right? Like, how does he believe that AI is going to help the ad business? What does it look like? What does Facebook look like in 10 years? I think this must be really, really interesting.
So again, a really interesting point you're making. But let's be clear. Does he see anything?
You think he has no idea?
I'm just asking. I want to do something really quickly here. Okay. Products that Meta has killed in the last 10 years. Well, just remember, because you know, we can make fun of Mark Zuckerberg or of Facebook as much as we want, but they changed their name to Meta because they thought the metaverse was going to be a big deal. I didn't go back and look at the amount of capex that they invested in Oculus and all this other stuff. I can't believe it was small, but I can't believe it was $135 billion a year.
Yeah, no.
Just the money that needs to be invested, because it didn't require any more data center investment, at least not at the same scale, right? It didn't require power investments. It didn't require, you know, buying, what's the right word? Chips that were under demand from everybody else, right? Where the supply constraints were high, so the prices were high. But they've tried a lot of different products over time, none of which still exist. Okay, remember they did a Meta phone, they did Meta smartwatches, they did the Quest Pro, they did the, like, even the Llama stuff. Like, none of this stuff has worked. So we can make the case that, like, Mark Zuckerberg is feeling like, I have this great vision, or he can just be sitting there going, I don't know, man, I invented this Facebook thing in my dorm room with a bunch of other wise guys, really just to pick up girls. It seems to have worked for like 15 or 20 years. But like, the growth in Facebook itself, in the number of monthly average users, must be dead. Right? Like, in the old days, well, if you think about it, Facebook is 20 years old. So when Facebook first came out, I was the cohort.
Yep.
I was a little bit old, but not really. But now I'm not the cohort anymore. But Kyla's not on Facebook at all.
Yeah. Yes.
And if Kyla has kids, they're not going to go onto Facebook. They're never going to sign up for Facebook. That thing's over. That's what I mean when I say the growth in like the MAU is over, right? But YouTube is different because, again, if Kyla or if your sister or if you have kids, they're going to use YouTube.
Yep.
Unless something insane happens to the world, right? They're going to use YouTube. So that growth is not done yet. And it'll replace itself, right? Because let's be fair, there are plenty of people in their 60s and 70s that are just going to die out. And they were some of the original users of Facebook. They're not going to get replaced.
Nope.
But if the same people are watching YouTube today, their grandkids are going to watch YouTube. And the population in the United States right now is 7% higher than it was 10 years ago.
7%. Oh, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So this is why when people talk about the elections and how many more people voted in 2024 than voted in 2016, it's like, there were more people. And what people forget is that between 2016 and 2024, it's 8 years. So that means people that were 10 years old in 2016 could vote in 2024 because now they're 18. Do you know what I mean? So if the country's growing, naturally the voter base is going to grow. But it's the same thing. but Facebook's not going to get more users, but Google is.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, and again, we can go back and forth on this. Like, is Zuckerberg seeing something, or is he just sitting in a place where, like, he's running like a stand that just makes French fries, and the whole world has decided like that is unhealthy. Do you know what I mean? And now I need to have like a salad shop. Well, I'm making stuff up. You understand the point? He's like, we need salad in our shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. On the other hand, they have huge growth in their revenue, right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
comes
yeah.
from somewhere. That comes from somewhere, and it's
Yep.
like massive growth, right? So where does it come from? Is it WhatsApp? I think they started to really promote WhatsApp ads recently. I would say in the last 2 3 years, right? It's not something that has been. It's not
Do
like
you
something
use
old.
Instagram at all?
So Instagram is huge, but that doesn't, I think, explain the double income that they have
No, but I'm
that they just
asking you, do
have.
you use Instagram at all?
Not much, not much. But Instagram is
Well,
good. That's a good app, I think.
but
That a
it's
lot of people
filled
use.
with ads now. Like when you
Yeah.
were using
Okay.
Instagram
Okay.
and you were like putting filters on, showing off all silly crap. Like that's
Not
not
that
what it
much.
is anymore.
Okay.
Instagram is not like what you think it is anymore. It's
Okay.
insane what's happening on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. Like people shop on it. There are ads everywhere on it. It's
Okay.
less of like, please look at my photo, and more just like, how can I do business on Instagram? So it doesn't account for all of the growth,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely accounts for some of it, Martin.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe Instagram, maybe like more ads on Facebook as well, right? Like even if
Same,
there
same,
is
same.
less people, then they can still sell more ads to less people and make more money at the end of the day.
Yep.
And probably WhatsApp as well, probably WhatsApp. But I don't know how WhatsApp ads work. Like we never really see any ads on WhatsApp.
Mm.
I don't know really like how the targeting works or like what you can do as an advertiser, like this type of thing. No idea at all. But we don't see a lot of ads on WhatsApp. So I
Mm.
don't know where this type of growth come from, right? Like because if you go from 130 billion a year to 200 billion a year in like 2 years after 20 years of business without launching any new products, like where does it come from, right? Like it's not like it feels like they create the money out of nothing.
Maybe they have. So the other thing is like, why is it so expensive
Mm,
to build this stuff out? Because I
yeah.
think it's actually worth going through that a little bit. Like, why is it forcing these big tech companies? Like, because like I said, Google's already doing this. Google's selling some equity. We know that OpenAI and like we forget about it, but when like Anthropic and OpenAI do a fundraising, they're selling. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
talk about
same.
it as an equity raise. We talk about it as funding, but like that funding is they're selling equity.
Yeah, yeah, same thing.
So that means that in the last like 6 months or whatever, what is it? Anthropic has done $65 billion. No more, because they just did 60 plus 30. So it's like $95 billion of capital raise. And we know that OpenAI did 122. So even Google doing 80 something billion dollars, 85 or 87 and a half, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, is not as much as the other guys. And Facebook is sitting there looking, going, are we competing with these guys or not?
To win
And
the
if we
same thing.
are, but do they want to? Here's the thing. If you do an equity sale, at the end of the day, your biggest problem is dilution, right?
Yeah.
Because there are just more shares, so your earnings per share just go down by definition, unless your income just rises so rapidly that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you don't owe anybody anything. You don't have any ongoing cost associated with it, unless you pay a dividend, which is a different story. But again, your dividend goes lower if your equity outstanding is higher. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to pay like a $1 dividend on 1 billion shares and then pay a $1 dividend on 1.5 billion shares. You're going to pay whatever that math is, where you probably 50 cents or 70 cents on that, so that the numbers, the dividend payout's the same, but the amount that every individual gets is lower, right? But if you borrow money, now you have to start making interest payments.
Yeah.
Then you owe the VIG to people. And while you could consider 5 years ago, and I'm using 5 as a proxy for a time when interest rates were lower, If you could, like, when overnight rates were zero, you could borrow for 5 years or for 6 years at much lower interest rates, and you don't owe people a ton of money. But the real question is, like, you can't borrow that money anymore.
So you think the fact that the interest rate are high are pushing these companies to actually not borrow and to sell equity instead?
Yeah, I mean, let's just see overnight rates in the USA. Yes, overnight rates right now, the Fed funds rate is 3.6%, 3.62%.
Okay.
So can I just do something?
Yep. Go ahead.
I just want to look at where the yield curve is, the US Treasury yield curve. Okay, so the 2-year yield is 4.15. The 5-year is 4.28, so relatively flat. The 10-year is 4.5. The 20-year is 5, and the 30-year is 5. So 30-year, it's like 4%, but that's for government-rated stuff.
Okay.
So corporate bonds are always going to trade at a spread to what's considered a risk-free, although the U.S. government, I'm not sure, is risk-free anymore.
At the moment.
At the moment, maybe it's risk-full. I don't know. But again, if the U.S. government is risk-full, then it has impact on borrowing in dollars, and then the corporates are still going to have to trade at a spread above that. I don't know what that spread is off the top of my head, but it could be 2%. Could be 150 basis points. Right, so that's going to bring stuff up to like 6 to 6.5%. If they're doing like 10 years, yeah, it could be like 6%. I don't know the answer. I don't know what the spread is, right? And I don't know what the difference is for the spread for Meta as it is for Google and stuff like that. But 6% is real money if you're borrowing like $100 billion. And you owe that money to people. So where do you pay it? You have to pay it out of cash flow. So you have to believe that, right? Because everybody's not like the US government. If you have to pay interest, you just borrow more money. Like that's how governments work, but that's not how corporations work. And nobody wants to invest in a bond that's being issued to pay off other bonds. Unless it's a government, because the governments have an not unending, but essentially like a limitless amount of money that they can borrow.
Yes.
If the economy in the country in which they operate is growing, right? Like Italy can't borrow as much money as it wants, but the US pretty much can. Because the economy is still relatively stable and still growing in a way that's okay. So Meta can't, or not can't, but they probably don't want to borrow money because, again, if you issue equity and the strategy that you're going to use to deploy that equity doesn't pay off, you don't owe anybody anything per se. People are mad for sure, right? Because the return on equity, all your P, your price to earnings, all this kind of stuff goes down because of the dilution. But at the end of the day, you don't have to pay anybody any more money than you're already going to pay them to begin with, again, unless even from a dividend perspective, because you just lower the dividend on more shares if you're paying a dividend.
Yep.
So to them, this makes the best thing. But the question is like, why? Why? So the reason why here is because this infrastructure is so expensive to build. And you know what I mean? Like if you want to build a new software product, even in the old days, you already have the guys and gals that are software engineers inside the company. And that doesn't cost billions of dollars to do in the short to medium term. But if you want to build a data center that's 50 times the size of like one Walmart, first of all, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to build, 2 years to connect to the grid, and billions of dollars to construct. And during the time that it's being built, you know how much money you're making from it?
Zero.
So it's just a sink. It's just a profit sink and a revenue sink. That's a problem. And that's the reason why. So if Meta was going to invest in new businesses, like even the Oculus business or the VR business, they didn't have to borrow money, nor did they have to issue new equity to do it because the costs associated with it were in the hundreds of millions of dollars, not in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So the scale is just completely different. And the idea here is like, you have to ask a couple of questions. Like, can these companies afford to invest in AI? That's the first question. But maybe the more important question is, can they afford not to?
Yes, I agree. And I feel like there is this bit FOMO right now. Can they afford not to? Right? Like, can they actually really do nothing? It looks like Apple can do nothing, right? But besides them,
Well, Apple does nothing, but they're like, hey, can we go out on a date with
exactly.
you?
Gemini or ChatGPT, like everybody.
Gemini, are you free on Saturday? Because I'm going out with ChatGPT on Friday. Don't tell them.
Exactly. But
This
it
is a
looks like
non-monogamous relationship.
it
This
looks
is an
like
open
yeah.
relationship. No pun intended for open AI.
It looks like besides Apple, true. It looks like everybody else is actually involved in the AI race, right? Everybody who has data centers, right? Like everybody who has data centers, who knows how to build them and who know how to create capacity, they are definitely involved. Like AWS, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, right? Like they are like the fourth largest who have both huge data centers and also a consumer offering, right? Which means that their business is not exclusively B2B. They also have some B2C businesses. They are all involved into the AI race, and I really wonder, like, yeah, actually, do they have to? Do they have to, or do they just want to stay relevant, become bigger, become actually stay one of the largest company in the world in 5 to 10 years, right? Because AI is going to be huge, and I think these numbers that we see right now really proves it, right? For a company like Meta or Google to raise money, right? It really shows like how much they believe into this thing.
So again, we have to be very clear about this.
Mm,
It's Meta, it's
mm,
Google, it's
mm,
Anthropic,
mhm.
and it's OpenAI, all raising money
Yeah,
to do this stuff, right?
yeah.
Now, who hasn't of these big companies gone out to raise money?
A- Amazon, Microsoft.
Yeah, so Amazon and Microsoft. So why
Mm,
not?
yeah, why not?
But why? I'm asking why. Do you have an answer? Because I have an answer for you. You want me to give you my
Mm,
answer?
not yet, maybe.
You don't have an answer yet, but you want my answer?
No,
You
no,
don't want my
no.
answer yet either.
I mean, maybe they didn't raise money yet.
Yeah, but okay, good point.
Okay,
Good point.
okay.
Um,
But
first of all,
tell me,
Amazon
what do you think?
Well, first of all, Amazon's approach to the AI business is to be the provider of picks and shovels, right? They want to be the infrastructure provider. They have data centers. They have big machines that they can run all this stuff on. They want to be an aggregator. They don't want to like what's Amazon's model that you want to use? So when you're sitting there thinking,
Yeah,
should I use Anthropic? Should I use Claude? Should I use
that's a good
ChatGPT?
point. That's a
Or
good
should I
point.
use Amazon's what?
Nope,
Right?
they are not involved into the model race.
At
Yep.
all. So their idea is we don't care which model you use, we're agnostic. We're just going to keep building data centers and we can fund that because we've been building AWS for 20 years.
Yes.
We have expertise in leasing that stuff out. We know how that business works. We can build data centers. They don't have to be, 25 Walmarts, the size of 25 Walmarts. We just keep building them slowly but surely, not just in the US, but all over the world and blah, blah, blah. That's
Yes.
their strategy. So do they need to raise money? Probably not.
Mhm,
And remember, here's the other thing. Meta was never in the AI business.
mhm.
So if they want to invest in it, it's almost like starting from scratch.
Yep.
And Anthropic and OpenAI, by definition, don't have enough cash flow, free cash flow to invest in their own businesses yet because they just have one product, and that is, AI coding.
Mhm.
Essentially, right? Because that's where most of the money's getting made. So Amazon is now out of the business of raising money because they don't really need to. And Microsoft, what is Microsoft's like really famous model where you have to decide, should I use Claude, should I use ChatGPT, or should I use Microsoft's what?
Same. No models.
Well, they do have models.
Mhm.
They do,
But
but Microsoft Business has always been let's build the best possible model and attach it to all of our own products.
mhm.
So, in a way that Apple's never done or has tried to do, but just completely failed, Microsoft has Copilot, Autopilot. We talked about this a couple of nights ago. And their strategy is we don't want to give you a chat mechanism so that you can then do writing and blah, blah, blah. Well, we want you to operate in Microsoft Word
Mhm.
and then have access to the best artificial intelligence tools in Word
Mhm.
and the best AI tools in PowerPoint and the best AI tools in other parts of Microsoft's stack.
Mhm.
But they don't want you to use it separately. They're not selling it separately. So their investment scheme is going to be way different than again, what OpenAI is, what Anthropic is, and what Meta is, who's essentially starting from scratch. And remember, Microsoft has had Copilot for a while now, and they have GitHub.
Mhm.
It's all the places where they're making money. They attach their own artificial intelligence to it. They don't want like your sister using it unless she's using it in Microsoft Word,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
right? They don't want you to use it in Google Pages. I forget what they call it. Sheets. I don't know what it is anymore. You know what I mean, though, right?
Google Sheet, yeah.
Yeah. So, but Google wants you to use Gemini in there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yes, yes,
Google
yes,
also
yes.
wants you to use Gemini
Yeah,
separately. Google wants you to
yes.
use Gemini in search. So Google's strategy is completely different. They need to invest more money, and they cannot fund this out of cash flow either.
Mhm.
And Apple's strategy, the reason why they have not gone out and they never will. First of all, Apple probably has way more money in the bank than these other companies. We've spoken about why that's the case because they've always been afraid of like running out of money, which is silly. But again, it's cultural there. But the point is as well is that they've tried to build Apple Intelligence and all they've done is fail.
Mhm.
So their idea now is we're just going to have partnerships with everybody that does this. Let them spend all the money. And if we need to invest a little bit by paying them to have access to their stuff, that's good. But on the other hand, in the same way that Meta has a massive distribution scheme, right? Because of just the number of users they have on YouTube, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, and on Facebook itself. Apple again has 2.5 to 3 billion devices out in the wild.
Mhm, mhm.
So their ability to distribute it's likely actually that Apple, in the same way that they get paid for Google search, that at some point they'll get paid to distribute everybody's AI.
Yeah, it's
And
possible.
that's why they don't need to invest. Sorry, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's super possible. And so to follow your logic, it looks like building the model is actually the most expensive part, and that's why Google and Meta needs to actually raise money because they are both building models, right? Where Microsoft and Amazon and Apple, they are not building models; they are just doing something else. They participate into the race another way, but the Google and Meta and Anthropic and OpenAI, the four of them are actually building their own models.
Right. So model training
Hmm.
is the most expensive part, at least now, of the AI infrastructure build out. I mean, the data centers obviously are expensive, but on the
Hmm.
software, on the non sort of data center side of it,
Hmm.
because the costs for inference is after the models have been trained, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So now it's just compute costs. And again, we can talk about this. I was going to do a whole story on like most companies don't even know what they're paying for compute. I mean, for tokens, but I was like, I've said this enough. You know what I mean? It's like, my name is Michael Waits. I don't believe you know how much a token costs. I think everybody kind of understands that that's where I am on this. Um, but look, Meta has to prove to people that, and we referenced this earlier, right? But Meta has to prove to people that this massive investment that they're making in artificial intelligence actually has to feed into their core advertising business because that's their only other business.
Yeah,
Because
and that's not proven
you
yet.
don't think you're going to be, say it again?
And that's not proven yet at all, right? Like
No.
there is no obvious relationship neither, right? Like I don't know how this is going to work. Like, and maybe like once again, the team at Facebook, Meta, they have more information than us, right? But are they going to use AI on the back end, which means that they are going to optimize even better the way that they can find the client for you as an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
advertiser?
Yep.
Or are they going to do on the front end, which is what OpenAI is actually rolling out right now, right? Which means when you search for something, then you have ads that would just pop up in your LLM response, right? Like
Mm.
looks like there is these two possibilities at the moment. Frankly, on the back end, I don't know how much better it can be, but it looks to me that Meta is already really, really, really good. And I don't know how much,
At
once
what though?
again, at the back end, at like finding the client for the
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
for the
Sorry.
advertiser.
Yep. Yep.
If you let's take a very simple example. If you do e-commerce and you sell clothes, for example, and you just start ads on Meta, at the moment, you are very, very likely to be able to show your ads to the right type of
To the
client
right
because
people.
Meta
Yeah.
is super, super, super good at
But
that.
maybe you're right. Maybe they think that actually implementing artificial intelligence on the back end is going to make it
Yeah,
even
maybe.
more efficient, cost
Mhm.
less for them, and then better
Maybe.
targeting so they can make more money.
Yes. So that's one possibility, right? And this is like a massive, 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 massive opportunity for them if that works because they are, them and Google, they are the only one who sell ads at that scale and who have that much data
Right.
point on people, right?
But can I make a big distinction between what Google does and what Facebook does?
Tell me.
Do you ever or have you ever searched for anything on Facebook?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where are they getting? So if it's on the if it's on the back end, I get it.
Yeah.
Because they run this massive advertising business, and if you
Yeah.
place an ad, it can be way more efficient, maybe, and way more effective, and way more better targeted. If on the back end, the artificial intelligence is saying that's not where you want to go, or if you tell me you want this, I can find it better because I'm more efficient using AI. That makes sense to me. But no one that I know of ever goes onto Facebook and goes, "Huh, let me use their search tools
No.
to find X, Y, and Z," and then they place an ad in. Do you know what I mean? Like, that never happens. But the thing that Google does that's kind of cool, we talked about this, is they've changed their search, right? So even if you just go to google.com,
Can you search for something? You'll see.
well, you just
Gemini.
end up at that regular page
Mhm.
that's been there for like 25 years, and you search for pizza in your hometown. So the first thing you get is sponsored results. It's simple, but if you ask a question, it's like, how do I make a pizza?
You are hungry, my girl.
Very hungry. Where can I get protein is the question I really want to ask.
Pizza
How much
with
protein can I get on my pizza? But you understand the point is that if you're searching for stuff, then Gemini can really kick in.
Yeah.
And they've already done that. But there's no way to do that on Facebook right now. And while Anthropic said they're not going to be in that business, OpenAI said, and this is part of the reason, one of the reasons, we'll talk about this afterwards, right? But this is one of the reasons why they're doing this in reverse. They're going, we don't really have a search engine or an ad business, but what we do have is people do come to us and ask us questions.
Mhm.
And it's not search per se,
But it's close. It's close.
but it's close enough, right?
It's close enough, yeah. It's
Yeah.
close enough, but let's see how it goes, right? Let's see how it goes. I think the closest thing that Meta has to what you just described is the Ask Meta button that you have. You know, like on the app, you can just click on that. Either it's actually, I think it's rolled out in the free app, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp as well.
What
You
is
can
that?
click
Ask
on,
Meta.
yeah, Ask Meta, and then you can just open a chat with Meta AI directly.
Oh, okay.
And they just roll it out for free to absolutely everybody for now, right? Like they announced that they are going to start selling plans, so maybe we will create a pro version and
Yep.
some better version of the Meta AI app. But yeah, so that would be the closest, right? Like that's a ChatGPT like experience. That's really similar. But Meta right now is not selling tokens. They don't have an API. I don't think so. You cannot do coding with what's the model of Meta Super Intelligence Lab?
Spark?
I don't remember. Oh, Spark, yeah.
Yeah.
Spark. So you cannot do coding with that. So it's really limited to their own app at the moment for a ChatGPT like experience. So that's what they do at the moment. Is it going to create new opportunities to sell ads inside this environment? We will find out.
That's not a good answer.
We will find
That's
out.
not a good answer.
I think, but this is why, like, I think talking to Mark Zuckerberg would be interesting. Like, how do you see the future, like, of your own business, and how do you see the future of advertising? Are you still going to be in advertising in the next 10 years? Because maybe they just want to do something else. And I think one of the largest opportunity for Facebook is actually to pivot to a cloud business. Like they can keep their advertising business, but they should definitely launch an AWS or Microsoft Azure, Google Clouds provider, because they already know how to do all the data centers. They already know how to do all the supply of of GPU and CPU and all of this for
Yep.
themselves.
Yep.
So now they should definitely sell this to other people, and they are the only one who are not doing that. So maybe part of this money is also for just the infrastructure, just for the data centers themselves.
And I would make another point about Facebook or Meta. You remember this guy? What's his name? Jan LeCun.
Yes.
He left Meta, right?
We need to have Jan on the show as well.
We'd love to have him on the show.
Yes.
But why would he leave?
I mean, I don't know how much
He
involved
didn't want to
was.
work for some schmuck who's like 32 years old who knows nothing about building AI models.
So he stayed like what 10 or 15 years in Meta. So it's not like he just stayed a short time. He stayed a long time.
12 years and 2
12.
months. I'm looking at I'm looking at his LinkedIn page.
So I don't know. Do you know how much involved there was in the Llama
The llama
models?
stuff. I don't know
Yeah,
the answer to that question. It's a good question, but he was the director of AI research. He was the
yeah.
VP and chief AI scientist.
Hmm.
And his last role until January of this year was VP and chief AI scientist at Meta. So like he was running their
Yes, AI
business.
stuff.
And then Mark was like, let's bring in the 22-year-old dude. We'll pay him $14 billion. Yeah, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Alex. Me? He's like,
True,
I'm not doing
true,
anything that
true, true.
important. You're hired.
Yeah, they pretty much replaced Jan LeCun by Alex. Yep, that's
Right,
pretty
but some
much what
dude who
happened.
has no idea how to do research in AI. I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. I mean, he's
Yeah.
smart enough to make $14 billion, right? So fair
Mhm,
enough.
mhm,
But the point
mhm.
is that like Jan is just sitting there going, really? I think I'll just go
Mhm.
start my own company.
And he raised 1 billion euros, I think. One
Yeah,
billion euros to, but also I think more importantly, like Jan believe in another way to make AI, right? Like he believe that the large language model, the way that they are done right now,
yep.
is not the most optimal way. They can do better, and that's what he is
I
building.
agree with Jan, by the way.
Yeah. So that's why, like,
He's
let's.
not called me, unfortunately, but I agree with him.
That's why he needs to be on the show. I tried to understand, like, I tried to watch a video explaining how that worked, but it was way too technical. And I was
Really?
like, okay, thank you. Yeah, because then you had to really sit down and follow how thing worked.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
gave up. But it would be great to have his explanation, to have Jan on the show to explain like why he believe that there is another way to make AI, and what does that look like, how does that work, and why is it better.
Hmm.
Would be super
So let,
interesting.
so let's make a point before we move on to ChatGPT and OpenAI and whether they're killing ChatGPT or just redesigning it as a super app. I
Yeah.
want to get to that in a second, but before we do that, you have to ask yourself, with all these companies spending almost $1 trillion a year,
Hmm.
who's going to benefit from this stuff?
Hmm.
And I think the answer is pretty obvious, but I think you have to talk about it. Anybody that's making a GPU, anybody that's making a CPU, anybody that's supplying memory, like any of the networking guy, like all of these people, they're all going to win.
Yeah.
And because over time, people are going to still buy this stuff. And if Meta stops buying chips, somebody else will come in and start to like do, like Jan LeCun's company is going to have to buy chips.
Hmm. Hmm.
If the more people that start different types of these frontier labs, whether they're doing LLMs or some other approach to artificial intelligence, they're still going to need compute and data centers to do this. So those guys are going to keep winning, I believe. And we believe strongly that AI is not going to go away, but just going to become more a part of our day-to-day life and our day-to-day technology life. Then those companies are going to keep winning. I think the people that have the bigger test for themselves are Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, all these companies that we've always talked about. And the reason why is because they got to start making money.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like every time they buy a chip from NVIDIA makes more money.
Yes.
But there's no guarantee that whoever's buying that chip from NVIDIA or the 11,000 clusters of chips that they're buying, which is very expensive, that it's going to lead to any sort of operating cash flow. It's
Hmm.
just,
Hmm.
we just don't know that yet, right?
Don't know. It's too early. It's too early. It's too early. Yep. No idea.
So that's the big question for me is who's going to win, and I think by definition the people that are supplying like the tools and the shovels are going to win here for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Anyway, and I would say this as a proxy for every other AI company that's building, I'll say on the cheap, yeah.
Hmm.
Agnes wins, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yes,
They
because
definitely win.
yes, 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 yes. This is a very very interesting angle, right? Like all of
Mm,
these other alternative that you have, alternative to the frontier models, right?
mm.
Like Agnes, for example, like the small models also that Google launched, for example, a couple of weeks ago with Gemma or Gemma. I don't know how you pronounce
Gemma,
that.
yeah, Gemma.
Gemma. Or like there is a lot of innovation into the models themselves, right? So the Chinese open source models as well. Like there's a lot of stuff going on there, and so let's see how it goes. But yeah, Let's we will find out in the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, and I mean, this fits into this old story of the tortoise and the hare, right? You
Yeah.
know this story, yeah?
No,
Of like,
tell
so
me,
the
no idea.
the tortoise is like a turtle and the hare is like a rabbit.
Okay. Oh
These
yeah,
are
this
just
is the same.
fancy
Okay,
terms for this,
yeah.
right? So I
Okay.
could have just said like the turtle and the rabbit, but that's makes me sound like I'm non-intellectual. So I want to sound smarter than I actually
But
am.
when people understand, so maybe it's better to use turtle and rabbit.
So what is it in French?
Yeah, that's the exact translation of turtle and rabbit.
It is, right?
Yes.
What is it in French though?
In French,
There's a story. There's a story. Le
yeah,
lièvre et la tortue, right?
il y avait la tortue. Yep, yep, yep.
Right?
Yep.
How am I doing?
It's really good, Michael. Really good. Your
I can
French
read.
is improving. Your French is improving.
No, it's not. But the point is that, like, in some cases, this is like the tortoise and the hare, right? Because
Mhm,
these big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, they're running as fast as they possibly can.
mhm, mhm,
And in some ways, like if you go back and you look at the allegory, the rabbit is running, and sometimes like back and forth.
mhm, mhm.
It's not running in a straight line. And the turtle, who cannot move that fast, is just slowly but surely just like going straight,
Yeah,
straight,
yeah,
straight,
yep, yep,
straight.
yep,
And
yep.
at some point, the rabbit either gets tired or gets killed or whatever. And the turtle just keeps going. And there are turtles out there that could potentially win this. I'm not saying Jan LeCun is a turtle. I'm not even saying I'm pronouncing his name properly, but I'm just saying that like there is an argument to be made that just because you're running really fast doesn't mean you're winning that race.
And maybe they should read this story again, right? Because between OpenAI and Anthropic Meta, they are trying to run really fast.
Yeah,
They are all really trying to go really, really, really fast, really, really big.
exactly. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's talk about is ChatGPT dead or just being redesigned as a super app? And then
Let's do it.
sorry.
ChatGPT is dead. Made you laugh, Michael?
It's something else, but I can't say it out loud. We can talk about it
Okay.
offline. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Okay.
OpenAI, it looks like, again, just a little bit of summary stuff before we get into the details here. It looks like they're trying to turn ChatGPT into a broader AI work surface. You use Anthropic, right? So you
Yes.
use Claude as an
Yeah.
infrastructure thing. I don't use it, so I don't know this, but I feel like it's more integrated. Like when you're in Claude Code, you're still also in Claude Chat. Is that right or no?
They have
Because I tried to use Codex a couple of days ago, and it was a separate application.
yes, so it's a separate app. I never really use Claude, what's the name? Claude the app, like Claude the desktop app, but they do have three different parts into the app. They have chat, they have co-work, and they have code. There's three separate
So what does Cowork
app.
do?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's fine. But obviously you know what Opus does.
So I just use the models through my own orchestrator, right? So I don't use their app because I just build my own thing, right? So that's why
Got it.
I use all the models, but I don't use the app because the
I've
reason
built my
why.
own orchestrator as well. It's just so easy to do. It's just why would you use somebody else? Why are you laughing?
No, but like there's always something
Why are you
missing.
laughing?
There's always something missing into their app, and obviously I can build it into their ecosystem. So I'm like, you know what? I just wanna build the entire thing. So
Sure.
then, when I
Sure.
want
I
to
did
add
the
something,
same thing.
everybody did the same thing. Like it's so trivial, right? So that's why, like, why do we build software anymore for other people, right? We should only build
Right.
software for
Built for
for
ourselves.
for ourselves. It's so easy.
I actually built an app a couple of days ago over the
Okay.
weekend.
Oh wow.
I did, but and yeah, I mean,
to
we'll talk about it offline, but yeah.
to teach you how to cook pizza. That's the
No,
app.
so I wanted to take stuff out of my calendar.
Okay.
And so you do this already, but I wanted to see like what it would do. I want to take stuff out of the calendar with all the information that's there for the people that we interview,
Okay.
and then try to do the question frameworks and stuff like that to do it in an
Oh, wow.
automated way.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you did that with Codex?
Codex, yeah. So I think I built the app, but I couldn't use it because I didn't have any credits to be able to actually execute it.
Oh, okay.
It's a separate payment thing.
That sucks.
Yeah, because I was super fired up on it. I'm like, I win, except I lost. Anyway, let's talk about this. So
Okay.
So they want to create this one integrated work surface where you can chat, do code, do generative AI, and even use third-party apps
Okay.
Like they really want to create a super app because people are building stuff that you can use inside of OpenAI, but there's no easy way to do it right now.
Mm.
And they really want this to look like an interface layer for work.
Okay.
Okay, in a way that it doesn't right now, because it's more just like a bunch of disparate parts. And because they have, we talked about this, but like, where was I looking at? What was this number? Oh, come on. The most used, I think it's Google, but the most used website in the world is Google that does 16.2 billion users per month
Okay.
or per week. I can't remember what it was, but it's like 16 billion.
Okay.
OpenAI has 900 million weekly active users.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it a billion. Okay. So, yeah, they have 1 billion monthly active users. So now they have this massive consumer funnel that they can like run stuff through, but they need to make their stuff easier to use, I think.
Okay.
The second thing is that Codex, and this is one of the reasons why I was bringing it up, because even I could build an app, and it, like, I have a little bit more insight actually into I think what you were doing, although you're way further ahead than I am, but I still think that the process is probably similar. I want to build an app to do this thing. Is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
It is. Okay, here are all the components that I want to build into that app. Can you build that for me? Well, I need more information from you, right? According to Codex. So I give them more information. They do a thing. Then we can build this. But I need to have a range and all this other stuff. Can you build that in? Easy. Build this. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like build the app and it's just done.
Mm-hmm.
At least not for me yet, because I've never built an app. So I didn't think about all these things first. I'm sure if you have more experience when you're building in Codex or when you're building in Opus, if you have enough information before you start and you know how to give it all that information, it's not as iterative as it was for me. But to be fair, it didn't take that long. It took a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of fun.
It is fun, yep.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to like you have nothing and then you've built something that actually does something that's useful that you can automate and you can start simple. I was like, don't do the whole thing, just do one thing to prove that it works. And then if it works, then you increase the number of things that it can do. And the more you do, the more you increase, the more you get done. But it was just kind of cool to be able to do that. So that's the other thing, is that the coding has become central to what those guys are doing. And it gets pushed deeper and deeper, like into the things that happen. But if that can be combined with what's happening in chat and maybe in the Opus case with with co-work, but also I think in OpenAI, some of the third-party stuff that they're doing, that actually becomes much more powerful. And the third thing to me is that they're also trying to make it more, like I said, like this operating layer inside of work, where it's kind of like what Microsoft is doing with Copilot and Autopilot. It's always there.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Gemini. When you're in Google, and my guess actually is if you're in YouTube as well, you're using some of the search functions in YouTube, and even if you're using some of the ad stuff in YouTube, that there's got to be a Gemini layer there as well. And even if it's hidden from you, hidden's the wrong word. Even if it's not obvious that Gemini is actually acting for you, it's there. Why wouldn't they put it there? If nothing else, they can learn. Right? Like they can use all the stuff in YouTube to train Gemini. Think about that. And the last thing is that to me is that the enterprise data. So for big companies that are using this, the data that they have is actually becoming a big part of the product for them internally.
Yep.
Not for OpenAI per se, but for the people that are using it. So this idea that they can connect things to like Slack, Google Drive, GitHub, they just have so much more information that they can use. But again, those things all have to be integrated together, because if they're separate and disparate, it's not going to be that useful. And at the end of the day, they want to lock people in, I feel like, in the same way that Microsoft did. Frankly, if you're using Microsoft Word, you're using PowerPoint. And if you're using any of those things, you're using Windows. Then if you're using Windows, you're going to use Microsoft Dev Tools. And this is, again, one of the reasons why we said in the previous segment that they're looking at AI in a way that's different than the way OpenAI and Anthropic is looking at it, and even different than the way Meta is looking at it as well.
They have much more assets, right? Like they already have an entire suite of products, right? An entire suite of users as well, right? Like they have users, they have sales channels, they have value proposition, they have product, they have already an ecosystem of plenty of things that already work together. So yeah, for sure, like for them, it's more like plugging AI into all of these things, right? And
Yeah.
making the ecosystem stronger. But at the same time, they can probably like launch a new offering with, like, okay, let's launch a like a chat offering, like Meta, for example. Okay, we can probably compete with OpenAI on this new offering as well. So I think they have these two possibilities where OpenAI and Anthropic, they can't empower their ecosystem because there is no ecosystem.
Yeah, but also you're not. We talked about this with OpenAI and with Anthropic as well. You're not using anything else when you're using them,
Yeah.
right? But like everybody, not everybody, but if you work at a big enterprise company, you're typing documents into Microsoft Word. You just are.
Yeah.
And if you're paying for Microsoft Word through licenses or through some sort of SaaS product, by definition, you have access to piloting, to Copilot, and Autopilot.
Yeah.
And in that sense, you're going to be using the AI in ways that would be different if you're using Google Sheets, right? Or Google Docs. So this is one of the reasons why that like OpenAI doesn't have that yet. And they're trying to build that as well. And they're trying to build it in a way that's integrated. And they're not there yet, but they feel like if they make this into a super app, that's going to be like another step along the pathway to having this thing. Because at the end of the day, you don't want people to be existing in a chatbot and then have to go to Codex. Even for someone like I am, that was a pain. Right? I wanted some more information. I had to go. You can ask Codex, but I went back to ChatGPT, and you're going back and forth. Like that should just be one thing, as far as I'm concerned, or more closely related. And to be fair, if I want to create a UI and I want to design that UI, it would be cool if I could just do it in Codex and have it do generative AI as well. Maybe it can, and I just didn't know that. But I think they want to make it feel like it's way more integrated in the same way that Microsoft Office, that PowerPoint talks directly to Word and Word talks directly to Excel. And that loop is closed.
Yep.
And that's not what's happening right now. So you don't want ChatGPT to be like the end point. You want it to be the entry point for every other app that OpenAI either has already built or is building. Does that make sense? And that's what I meant when I said, like, is chat dead? It's not really dead, but it's going to be used in a different way.
And so this is why you can plug in Booking.com, airlines websites, grocery website as well, and all of a sudden build this super app ecosystem of like, okay, ChatGPT is the entry point to actually make your groceries, to actually book your next trip, to actually maybe order a cab as well, right? Like why not they integrate with Uber or with Grab in Asia, and it really becomes the entry point to actually all the other services, right? I don't know if this is going to be like, in a way it's cool because they like, in a way maybe it's actually the best idea because two things, like OpenAI and Anthropic, they have two things, and mostly OpenAI because they're the one with the most users besides Gemini, because Gemini is another use case.
Yeah.
But in the chat style interface, OpenAI is the one that has the most users, and so they have two things. The first one is all the queries from all the people, right? And so which means if a lot of people ask, hey, can you check on booking.com my hotels to Thailand, they know this type of thing. So which means they know the volume of people asking for the same thing. So is it booking.com? Is it airlines? Is it groceries? Is it ordering a taxi? Right? They know the volume of people who are already asking ChatGPT to perform these actions for them. And at the same time, they also have people who use Codex to build agents to actually do it for them, right? So I think if you put these two information together, it becomes super obvious of what integration you need to do in ChatGPT right now, right? Because if you have a lot of people who are asking, hey, what are the top 3 hotels in my budget range in Thailand for a trip next month, then the obvious next step is to actually integrate that with booking.com, and then let the user do the entire booking journey through ChatGPT and ask for some money from booking.com. And because they have information about all the requests, they must have like a top 10 apps that they absolutely need to integrate right now, right? Because once again, everybody is asking for them, right?
So those are things like Booking, Figma, Photoshop, Canva, TripAdvisor. These are
Yeah.
apps that they already have that are built in that have used the SDK, and they sit native inside of the chat application, which changes the tenor and the usage as you're suggesting. I agree with you. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
because then, as you say, then it becomes the entry point to actually other stuff, right? And if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
works, it can be a cool entry point, right? It can be a really
Yeah.
cool entry point if it works. Once again, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea that's backed by data, right? So it's not just like some random stuff that they are going to build. So it could work. Yeah, it could work. I don't know if I would like to go through the actually you know what, like we always go to the same hotel when we go to Singapore. Why do I need to go through the same booking flow all the time? I should just go to ChatGPT and say book me the same hotel as all the time, right? For the
Hmm.
two nights. That's it. I should just say that, right?
Did you book
And
the hotel, by the way?
I booked the hotel. Yeah, that's what I
Thank you
said.
very much. Okay.
That's why like we for things like these that are always the same and don't move and don't change, sorry, where there is no decision process, it's really just like a deterministic process that just needs to happen.
Yep.
ChatGPT could do that, which means it makes ton of sense to sell that to the enterprises who have a lot of these workflows that just happen all the time, right? On the consumer side, you very rarely go once a month to the same place, right? It's a little bit weird on vacation. But on the enterprise side, we have plenty of people who are constantly traveling. They have deals with the hotel, so they always send people to the same places. This type of stuff can be definitely automated, right? Like if you have a chat that just has the right information and we can process information for you. So if ChatGPT can actually help you integrate with them without building AI agents yourself to actually
Mm.
build the entire workflow, it would be so much easier. Yep.
Yeah, and the other thing is that again, ChatGPT has 1 billion monthly average
Yeah.
users,
Yep.
monthly active users.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as a distribution point,
Yep.
but because think about this, Apple has 2.5 billion devices out in the wild, but that doesn't change every month,
Nope.
and it's the same probably 2.5 billion devices, give or take. Give or take, let's say 100 million.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT has 900 billion monthly active users every month. It's 12 billion active yearly users. That's again a huge distribution point, which means that again, if all this stuff is integrated, then maybe there's a way for them to upsell or change the way that they interact with people, even for other products. Like you can create an image in ChatGPT, you can do generative AI there. But what if you want to edit it in Adobe Photoshop? You don't pay for Photoshop today. Maybe you want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So there are
Yep.
ways for them to create partnerships with Adobe, with Canva, with all these other people that have paid services, and maybe they can take a little piece of that because of the distribution that they have,
Yeah.
because there's so many people using it. That's also part of the upside, I think. No.
Yes, it's definitely part of the outside. Definitely, definitely. I would say like we got to be careful about a huge risk though. Like the super app model has never really worked in the West. Like it's really an Asian thing. Huh? Like there is no super app. Even Uber, they have Uber and Uber Eats. They have two separate apps, right? So there is no. I try to think about like a super successful super app in the West.
I'm
It's
thinking right now, like I was
yeah,
thinking Amazon, but no.
not really. And plus, Amazon is maybe another good counterexample. It's just one app that's just the marketplace. Everything is separated, right? If you want Amazon FBA, that's another app. If you want AWS, that's another app. So the super app model, there is no successful example at the scale that we are talking about, where in Asia, it's the way to go, right? Like everybody does super app, and that's the only thing that we use. So it's interesting that they want to build a super app. Like even these terms, it's a really Asian term, right? Like the Grab, the WeChat, they are the first super app, right? And they are the guys who created this idea of super app. It's a really Chinese idea. It's not something in the West.
Yeah, it's from WeChat.
It's from WeChat, right? I think they were the first. They were the
They were,
first. They were
and
the
the
first to
biggest
build,
still probably. Yeah.
and they are probably still the biggest with us payments, chat, and absolutely everything, right? Through WeChat. So that's what also like interests me here is because okay, they want to do a super app, or do they just want to do an integrated marketplace? I don't know, but the term super app is interesting because it's a real Asian, Asian, I would say, cultural behavior. It's something
Mm.
that works really well in Asia and that has not been proven at all in the West.
But I mean, didn't OpenAI build something called the Agentic Commerce Protocol?
So they tried to do that with Shopify, I think, and they
Mm.
stopped.
They stopped, yeah.
So this is something that they stopped doing.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Really, I'm really curious to see where this is going to go because even Canva, I think that they try to build like this integrated marketplace with tons of other services and stuff.
Yeah,
But as of today, when you go to Canva, you just use the base product and that's it, right? Like
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
something that they actively promote. But when you use Grab in Asia, you have access to all the services right from the home page, right? So like the philosophy in design for a super app is absolutely different, right? And yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting use of word, I think, to use the term super app.
You're the wrong person to ask because, well, for whatever reason. But like, you're not ordering from Grab Food, are you?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I do, yeah.
You personally?
Sometimes, yeah.
Really?
Me personally.
I don't mean that in a funny way. I never do it. I'm just saying I never do.
Okay.
Like, I use Grab for one of two things:
Okay.
transport
Yeah.
or express to send stuff to you
Okay.
or to other people. That's it. That's the only thing I use it for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use any. Well, like, what other services do they have? Grab
So,
Food.
so for example, we use delivery today. So that comes from
That's what I
Grab.
mean. That's Grab Express, right?
Yeah. So that's Grab Express. They have the taxi and they have the food. They have the groceries as well. So you
So
can
I
you
don't
can
do
order your
groceries on
groceries.
Grab. I don't do food on
Yeah.
Grab.
But it's all there. It's all there
So
and it's on the home screen as well. This is the
no, I know it's
difference.
all there. But like,
Yeah.
you remember my other friend? She used to do shopping.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, you could actually on Grab, you could actually buy something at 7-Eleven, buy something at Tops, and buy something
Mhm.
somewhere else, and that guy will
Yes. Yes.
go
Yes.
pick it up
Yes.
from all those places and
Yes.
bring it to you,
Yes. Exactly.
including dinner. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's but that's what I think here. The main difference, once again, and I will just repeat that, is that you have all the services on the home screen, which means
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you open the app, you can
it's there.
easily access
Mm,
everything,
mm,
and
mm.
it's just not an experience that we design in the West. In
Yeah, but
France
why?
or in the US, when you build an app, you will build your own service first, okay, and then you will add another button to say, hey, we also have extra services. This is a very different design philosophy that is completely different between Asia and between the West. I
Mm.
would say for having looked a little bit, I don't know exactly why, because I'm not a designer and I've never worked at like such massive softwares. But I think one of the reasons is because in the West, we always want things to be more sleek and straight to the point. More like, okay, if my user come to my app to order food, for example, I don't want to add things in the way because I may
I want it
lose
to be
him.
the best food experience they've ever
And
had.
I want to be the best food experience because it comes for food, and I need the flow to be so straightforward, so good, so it's not going to what's the word? It's not going to get out of my funnel.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
going
You're not going to go somewhere. So
to
can I ask you
drop
this
off.
question?
Yeah, yeah,
On Grab,
yeah,
as a super app, because this is a super
yeah.
app question, not a Grab question, but on Grab,
Mhm.
what is your favorite restaurant or your food provider?
Oof. I don't know. There's no
But no,
like,
wait,
yeah,
you don't know.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a problem because you don't
Mhm.
order from a restaurant. You
Yes,
order a dish.
yes,
Do you know
yes.
what I mean? Or what? You don't understand what I mean. You understand what I mean. You order a
Mhm.
meal or a dish or a
Yep, yep,
thing,
yep, yep.
and you kind of don't care if it comes from Panda Express or Express Panda. Do you know what I mean? You don't know and you don't care, and that's the point. And I think this is the big problem with
Yes.
with super apps, and I think it may be the same problem if OpenAI does this. Why is that? Because I don't know
That's a very good point.
necessarily if my image is being generated by Canva
Mm,
or by Photoshop at some point. And at the end of the day, I don't care.
mhm, mhm,
I just
mhm.
want my image to be what I want my image to be.
Yeah. Maybe actually you're right. Maybe that's another reason why it's so different. Maybe in the West we care about where it comes from, and maybe in Asia they care much less, basically.
Because they don't know. They
Yeah,
don't know. And
yeah.
particularly for food, maybe it's a food thing.
Mm.
but there are just so many different restaurants. It's hard to
Yeah.
be like brand loyal.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like Martin, I walk out on the street. There's a noodle shop. There's like 5 noodle shops right like
Hmm.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Any idea what their names are?
No idea, right?
I have no idea.
But don't care neither, right?
Don't care.
Yeah, so that's why I think this term super app is really interesting. And while you were talking, I asked Gemini, is there any example in the West of successful super app? And there is none, zero. So Uber is split. Revolut, they say they do a little bit of. So actually, Revolut might be a good example. They say a digital banking, but now it has evolved into a super app offering stock investing, crypto trading, insurance, and also travel perks. I'm pretty sure when you open the Revolut app, you don't have everything on the home screen. You have the bench, and then you go on show more, and then you can see the extra stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Mm,
Like if anyone has access to the Revolut app, please tell us in the comments. Send us
mm,
a screenshot of the homepage of Revolut and then compare that to the homepage of Grab or WeChat. It's going to be night and day, and that's why there's fundamental differences here, and I think that's why there is no super app that are successful in the West, and so that's why the
yeah.
term super app once again pretty interesting use.
Mm, very interesting. Okay. Anything
And
else?
actually, maybe one more thought. Maybe they use super app because it sounds better than marketplace.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
what's the definition of? We don't have to go down this rabbit hole, right? But
Mhm.
like, what's the definition of what a Westerner thinks a super app is? It's
Exactly.
probably
Yeah.
one thing that has more than one. Probably like some place that has more than one piece of
Yeah.
functionality, whereas a super app in Asia means a very specific thing,
Exactly. Yeah. It's
right? It's a group
it
of
was.
unrelated apps per se
Mhm,
that all
mhm.
sit on the same home screen, right?
Yeah.
Because the food delivery or the supermarket delivery app, right,
Mhm.
is not necessarily related to the mobility app,
Yes. No.
but
It's
they're in the same ecosystem.
yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why maybe they use super app to not say marketplace to just sounds more fancy. But at the
Maybe
end
it
of the
sounds
day,
more super. Who knows, right? Like, I don't know.
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. And if you have access to Revolut, I would be very interested to see
No.
what's the first screen that you have when you open the app. That's what I want to see.
Okay. Let's call it a day for this. How does that sound, Martin?
Yes, perfect. Sounds
That
good.
is it for today for AGTP Daily. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, watching us live, but also watching us after it gets published. Give us a thumbs up on today's video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. No one's going to get hurt, right? It's going to help us out. Martin, we should have people subscribe, yeah?
Yes, yes, definitely.
I mean, the more
Subscribe, like,
subscribers, the better.
comment.
Follow us on all of our socials.
Yeah.
What's that app called with the X on? Oh, that's X, it's called.
Yes.
Yes. So subscribe on X, on Instagram. We talked about all these things today. We didn't talk about LinkedIn, but subscribe there as well. Let us know in the comments. We'd love getting comments. If there's anything you want us to discuss on our upcoming shows, and ask us questions. We love interacting with our viewers and our listeners. We will be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Michael Waits. And who are you?
Martin Montfort, Michael.
It is great to have you, man. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.